Today on Conan Exiles Guide, we'll be talking about the volcano, all the awesomeness that is. It's one of my favorite places to be, and hopefully by the end of this video, it'll be one of yours. Now, I understand if you're a bit newer to the game, it can seem a little daunting coming here, all the lava and aggressive thralls. I'm currently in admin mode, but a lot of these guys do attack you. It is an excellent place to come get a whole bunch of fairly decent tier 1 fighters. We'll go into that a little later. And it's actually not that hard to get here. There's a few places that you can visit prior to your adventure that'll make life a lot easier, which I'll go into a bit in the intro, and then we'll travel around the volcano and look at all the stuff. I won't be going into the Well of Skelos and venturing around in there necessarily so much. That's a different guide, as it's a bit more of a dungeon, and this will already be a bit of a longer video because this is the whole volcano area. We'll be talking about resources you can get, a couple of places to build, roles, stuff like that, and some things you may not know about the place. So I will start off in this entrance. There are 4 entrances, and before we go around talking about those entrances, I'm going to teach you how to actually get to them. So this particular entrance, if you have managed to make your way all the way up to the volcano, say you had some spicy food from killing anything around here, if you've decided to come up this way, which is the way I usually do come, past the Black Blood Caves. A couple of dragons out here, but it's relatively not that cold. I'll show you all of them in detail though. If you have a little bit of spicy food or a little bit of warm armor or a torch or some bedrolls and some death respawning, you can make it here pretty easily. But you might need some ice once you get here. You can farm it on the outside, some black ice, and you can use a stone pick to get ice with black ice and ice nodes. But this guy will sell you some if you happen to have some silver. Bunch of silver boxes about the map before you get here, so you can easily pick up a little bit. Other stuff that is worth bringing if you do happen to have things is something like Chilled Godbreaker. It's one of the more expensive things, but it does have a lot of cold heat resistance rather. And if you bring a thrall, you can put the cold stuff on them and then swap it out when you get up here because they're not affected by the weather. Same with the Legion armor. If you get the redeemed, it does cold and hot, but just the regular will just do hot. So you can wear a few bits of that. You can actually run around for the most part naked in the volcano. A few places are a smidge hot and you will get probably one tap by most things. But water skins, you can drink ice, iced tea, which we'll go into where you can buy that here and before you get here. Highland berry pulp, berry juice. Some of them don't stack, some of them do. So that's also worth noting, and I'll go into that when we go into the entrances and stuff too. It's a great place to come and use Mass Cull if you have sorcery and that level, because there is a ton of rocks around, so consider that if you're coming here specifically to farm. I also like this entrance on a side note because it's really close to the obelisk and you can touch it straight away, so if you happen to die in a misadventure, it's so much easier to come back again. Alternatively, if you have a friend and you can still map room jump, haven't tested it, don't know, but if they touch the spawn before you and then you touch it after them, you can steal their teleport, touch the obelisk that way. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure they haven't fixed that or won't fix it in the future. A torch, like I said, will also keep you a bit warm, but then we also have stuff like the Mistmorn, which is a legendary weapon. There's a bunch of other different legendaries that do have hot and cold differences. I do have a video that goes into a bunch of those, so check that out. But some of them are super easy to get, like the little sword you can get here. That'll help you immensely getting up to the cold. If you've been around a little while and you're not just running fresh from spawn straight to the volcano, you've probably come across some gold and silver or come across the silver mine itself and made some silver coins. Come over to the merchants in Septimero, visit this one specifically, and he'll sell spiced pork real cheap, and that will help on your cold mission up. And you don't even need to be that experienced player. You can actually literally just loot a few boxes, come here, and then run up towards the volcano pretty easily. That's right here by Westwall Prison, but right by where Conan hangs out. In Septimero itself, you can find here and there some gold and silver and even some alcohol boxes, and alcohol can even help on occasion with heat, but you will get drunk and that can sometimes help you less. That's not why we're here. By Conan's house with that silver, you can also buy some of that iced tea, which expires to herbal tea afterwards, so then you get herbal tea, which then just expires. There's a nice little stamina buff, anywho, and it will keep you cool. I'm pretty sure it still does a smidge of healing too, but... And that one again was right here. You can also very easily make some spiced stuff with some spice easily acquirable by grinding grass in a grinder and bark and a whole bunch of other stuff. So you can get spice pretty easy that way. Make yourself some spice hunch and some spice steak. I have a video on all of the not cold bits if you need further detail. Also shows you where to learn the recipes to make the other spiced and chilled stuff that you need, like iced tea that you can make yourself. A link will be in a pinned comment or the description for all the featured videos for further detail. I'd love to add it all into these same videos, but I get enough comments on pacing as it is. And on a quick side note, I don't usually add these in this early on in the video, but if you do often watch my content, consider subscribing if you're not already. It does mean a bunch. Almost at 7,000 subscribers, which is just wild. I definitely could be more consistent for sure. And I am working on that, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff planned for you guys. Just balancing editing and actually recording content and not recording this without my audio, which is what I did the other day. This is in fact my second recording of it. Cool. Thought I was over that one. But anyway, enough with that tangent. Subscribe if you do enjoy this content and my random rambles in the middle of them. And on with the video. If you've been making your way up the icy ledge, which again, like I said, I think is one of the easiest ways. Super easy to place bedrolls and respawn. Lots of places to place those bedrolls. Some of the other ways you get a bit sketchy with no placement zones. And that can really mess you up. You do get a period of invulnerability when you initially spawn back in from severe frostbite, so you can run naked up here with just a bunch of bedrolls and just keep doing that. But for the most part, I'm in admin mode, so I'm not experiencing any cold or anything right now. You can stop here and get a little bit of ice, and you don't need a fancy pick like this. You can use a shitty pick, and it will also give you ice and stuff. Not that you could see that because that's where my head was, where the harvest things come up, but you get that. Right here is the actual entrance. There's a couple of baby dragons and a bigger 3-skull dragon if you are after some demon blood, dragon bone, and dragon horns and all of that. Fairly decent thoughts. They also give a lot of hunch. Come in through this entrance right here. Kind of towards the bottom of 12H. And as soon as you enter, you will start getting quite hot, especially if you are naked or wearing your cold gear. So it's good to quickly change. And around here, you will struggle to find a few spots to place new bedrolls. So I like to go and touch the obelisk straight away. Sometimes you'll die before you get there. So if you can, try and place a bedroll around here somewhere. There's a lot of no build zones though, as you can see. But you can actually place one fairly close to the actual obelisk itself, and you'll immediately see these Catan caravan guys and that original merchant that I showed you before, who you can buy some ice off if you happen to have forgotten to get some ice prior. So run down to that obelisk. There will be a couple of aggressive dudes every now and then. You can pretty much outrun them, these guys here. Some down that way. We'll come back around to that way because we're mostly going to do a little loop around kind of like that. You'll see as we go. Get rid of that. Actually, terrible example because you can start building here. So you'll often find wells and map rooms right here, which is kind of nice. Touch the butt. There used to be a box you can find here, but you can't anymore. If you are still leveling, bring a sickle or I'm pretty sure a sickle only now, and you can get some lotus. Some golden lotus is fairly decent. I don't think a pick works for them anymore. Just destroys them. They hate us. Anyway, it's decent XP and you can use it for a bunch of different random potions later on or just dump it. But there is a little bit just here right by the obelisk, and I'll try and remember to show you where they spawn, but we'll see. This is here. Directly out from that, we will find some rock noses and some obsidian. And the obsidian is incredibly good XP as well. Not quite as good as probably black ice, but there is a butt ton of it here, and you can get some gold and ash from it also, and just drop a bunch of the obsidian and the ash. Inside the Well of Skelos is where you learn the obsidian weapons and tools recipe, but that, like I said, another video, but I'll briefly dip into that when we get along to there. You find this guy here. He's usually aggressive. You can fight him. They're pretty easy. And there's usually also a golem here that you can get blood crystal from. They are weaker to star metal stuff. It's cool. Then you're going to find Hyperborean dudes here, which is slightly different. Sometimes they will kill this dude for you, and then you can just hack him up, get your free things. Nice. Yeah, these guys can be slightly different from the Timars and the Kisses. These will be Dickuses and because the Sharp and I can't remember the other guy. Anos Pathfinder? Does he still exist? I don't know, they change stuff all the time. Like once upon a time, we used to be able to knock this guy here out. This is now the Shrine of the Oracle area. Talk to this Vathis if you want some stories. These guys here, as well as that guy wandering just down below, right here. He can be a devotee or potentially a crafter thrall, and that is a named crafter also. They can be sorcerers, which is quite a decent little farm of sorcerers, but they are all aggressive now. They didn't used to be, but these guys will just start attacking you now regardless. They're pretty easy to take out with some blunted daggers or if you have a decent truncheon. Devotees will be about the same HP as a relic hunter from this area, from around Seppu Maru, a tier 3 guy, but they tame as quick as a tier 1. So that's a fun little advantage. You can build yourself up a bunch of throwaway fighters real quick. Used to be better when they were archers because easy base defense, but whatever. It was a million years ago. There's another guy here. And then we start on more of the obsidian around this area too, because over there's not a whole lot. We get some more here and some more over here. And just off this edge, if we go back towards this merchant over here, who we can also buy iced tea off, we're also going to find more gold lotus. And there. And there. There's also a couple of gold rock nose spawns around here, like one just down right here. This guy here, if you hack him up, he will give you just gold ore. Excellent way to get gold ore. I have a separate video with all their locations because I'll probably forget to show them here. I'll try to remember. But this guy specifically is right here. So it's real close to get that and the lotus, and then run back up here. There are some gaseous areas, but I, for the most part, avoid them. But you can run through without dying, but you can also bring a gas mask. We'll go into that when we get to it. Moving on from this little area, we'll find a fighter. And directly down here, we will always find an armorer and a carpenter. They can be named guys. Bit more obsidian and obsidian rock nose. This guy will always be a smelter and a taskmaster. Used to always be named, but can now be sometimes named. More obsidian. And we're just heading down this little path from the Shrine of the Oracle. Right here, we'll find a taskmaster and a fighter. And we find another fighter. Preferably don't yeet off this edge. It's really easy to do when you're on a run. You want to turn down here. Go down these very hard to see stairs. The amount of times I've thrown myself off that ledge still. It's directly forward. We are going to find some more fighters. I sometimes come up here to get the obsidian before looping back around. Another fighter. Just here, kind of by the Terrace of the Tenders, which is just up there. We don't go up there yet, but we can, and we'll find many alchemists. But back down here. Over here we find another random spawn. If you go down this way, you'll find more golden lotus and more obsidian. The lava won't insta-kill you or your thrall, but it's also not great. And thralls are kind of dumb, and they will just stand there till they die and their shit will just fuck off. Like, it's cool. I love it every time it happens. But maybe they've fully fixed it. I don't know. I just don't bring thralls here now because I'm traumatized, and for the most part I can survive without them. So side note, also don't stand in lava for too long yourself. But you can chase these NPC thralls and get them to stand in the lava and kill themselves, so that's something. Get your lotus. You probably want to avoid these dudes because sometimes named dudes, but it's also sometimes an emissary, which is a one skull, and they mess you up. So you can just totally avoid this area. I usually run back up or run this way, because this will lead us to just below where we were before. A little bit more obsidian right here. And if you want to avoid this whole area, over that way, which is where we're about to go, you can run this way, find another fighter down here. A little bit more obsidian. You can actually build underneath a lot of these too, if you want a sneaky little base, but I'll show you my favorite one. You can also build in a bunch of these towers. And you can jump across here or continue up to this area and this area, which we will come back to again because I know this is a little hard. Working around in a circle and kind of dipping in. I mix up the way that I run around a lot as well, so you can as well. But yeah, we'll likely go back over areas, so if you are a little lost now, hopefully it'll make sense looping around. This guy can be a spider. He drops the mandible arrows. Excellent armor penetration. Sometimes he's just a thrall. Same with this guy. He can be an anything, a devotee, a fighter, a taskmaster, a named dude. It's usually a fighter though. Over here we will find a carpenter. He's usually always a carpenter, fairly sure. And a fighter, heaps of obsidian, and a little bit more golden lotus. Yeah, this is a decent little spot to dip up to if you're going to. It's worth checking for the spider because he also drops a lot of Ico, demon blood and stuff. If you come up this way, it will start the gash area around here near the pens. And there's not much to see in the pens, to be honest. There's like one alchemist spawn over here. Two alchemist spawns. Good about that guy. And then the rest is just like a bunch of nonsense that we'll go into later, but it's all gassy here. So yeah, avoid it. If you want, you can also come here like, I'm not your master. Some people who say take that when I say it way too seriously. And then if you like, you can just jump across here and then you're back in this area. But what we're going to do is go all the way back over here. So from here, actually I was up here. So this is the edge where I told you not to jump down. We come to these stairs. Pretty empty, but you can actually start building up on those temples, and there's some pretty decent spots just up here, and in my opinion is the easiest way right near here to climb up and around to the ant's nest, which if you haven't seen my rat hole video goes into that location a bit further, but I'll do a little flyby in a second. This guy always an archer, and this guy's always a tanner, sometimes named. Now this edge you do need to yeet off to find a blacksmith and a smelter. Now we can run down here and get to that area and avoid all the other way or go back up that we went before. This is that place that can have the emissary. And there's a little bit more golden lotus just down here. Somewhere here. And you can build here. So if you really need, you can put a little base down, but you'll be more noticeable. There are way better bridges to build under where it will be less noticeable. And if you fly up, well, if you climb up, because you'll likely be unofficial, this little bit, you can build quite the sneaky base here. And no one will see you, because that's the problem with a bunch of building in the temples, is that people can see you from a distance. And even this temple just here, you can build on. You do start being able to build on them when you start getting like a bit closer to the Shrine of the Oracle. You can build all up and down here, so that's fun. I usually come down this little way, because also you can come up and do all of these ways from our next entrance that we're about to come upon. We also have a handy little merchant, where is he? Right here, who's going to sell us berry juice. Berry juice isn't quite as good as berry pulp because it doesn't stack with the other coldness things as well. Like you can stack juice and ice and water and purified water and stuff. They'll have like a little 2-stack, but some of them don't. Right here is where we're going to find our other entrance, which is probably my second favorite entrance. It's also quite easy to come here naked up past the ruins of Zalin and the Frost Obelisk. Your trickiest part is getting over the Bridge of the Betrayer or near here and not getting too much frostbite if you are doing a naked run, but it is doable. A few bedrolls here and there. We'll also find another gold rock nose, a little bit up down our thing, but there is a lot of obsidian spawns all the way down this path. Once we get to the end, we'll eventually find some saber-toothers, saber cats, them ones. More obsidian, lots of little nooky places that you can build around here. On our way back up, I'll show you where the anthill is, just in case you don't know. That's when I'll do our drive-by. And there's a few like Black Legion skeletons around, a few saber cats. You can potentially find babies here. Road of the Pilgrim. If you run along the temple, you will avoid most of these guys because you can run just along the wall here. You don't really ever want to run through the Ice Spire Chasm because usually someone will have a stupid base there and block your way halfway through. It's so annoying. Or a giant rock nose will just DC you. So that's cool. So don't do that. But yeah, you can run along the temple here and dip in there. Avoid most of these guys by just running past them because they're not quick. And then we'll find the obelisk right here if you happen to spawn in that obelisk or make your way across the bridge. It's a super easy, direct way. You can get a bunch of harvestables upon your journey too. You can get a bunch of harvestables along your journey too. It gets a little bit difficult for bedrolls around that particular area. Often you will find people built in the Ice Spire Chasm, but you can run up that way and around here also from over here. But I figure at that point, just run up this way. It's much easier. But also if you are ever raiding people at Ice Spire Chasm, you can spawn in at the volcano, come through that cave, jump down this hill here, and then like be right here at their base like really quickly. So there's that. Yeah, right up here, we can find our little rat hole. It is usually quite hard to get to, as you can see. A lot of climbing if you come from this angle, which is why I believe it's easiest to come up over this pathway, especially because you can build. Just give me my building tool. There's so much of it. You can have little rest spots if you can't find a nook. Keep making your way around. Eventually you'll probably come across their land claim if you're coming to raid someone. But right here is where the anthill is. As you can see, much easier than making your way around all of that from the green wall. You can also climb over in this area. A lot of the volcano you can't climb over the tip. This place you can. It'll just be quite the drop. Now we've made our way back towards the Road of the Righteous, where we found that merchant just down here. Heading up this way. Few golems, rock noses to see along the way, and this is the area that I showed you that you could jump across, or you could go up and fight the spidery guy if he happens to be there. Keep running up. At this moment, sometimes I jump across and do go get the golden lotus on this side and some of the obsidian, as there is a lot more on this side. Oh, where is it? Over here. But you can easily jump back across or build a bridge. Oh, there's some more. It was somewhere. Just here's more. Another rock nose, and a spot that I quite like to build a little wheel of pain here, or a map room or something, because it's a bit out of the way and not usually people are blocking this area with nonsense. So it's not as common now that you can just have a wheel of pain at your house and teleport. Sometimes it's a mission, especially if a thrall on a rope touches lava, it's not great for them. But this is our third entrance as well. The Hidden Way. I quite like this one because there's a few spots to build on the side. This spot here, quite hard to get to originally to build, but makes a cool location for a base. It's quite hard to treb it if you land claim correctly and not too spammily, because that'll get you reported. There's also some good little nooks over here to build. There are a few good little nooks, ledges, real hard for people to come find you. You can keep running. This is the back end of the Black Keep, but keep running down here. And we will find our fourth entrance. I think there's 5? Yeah. This one I don't come in very often. It's Dragon Mouth entrance because I might as well just run up to that entrance. If you want to be closer to the Well of Skelos, come in here and you'll boop right basically into the center of the volcano. There's a bit of a venture, so we'll go in this way. Cannot build in here. You don't need to go that way. Woo! Up the ledge, over here. Nothing dangerous, doesn't need to be that long of a loading. And you're right in the middle of the volcano. Pretty much. Pretty close to the Well of Skelos, and you just run down here. You can jump on a lot of the lava rocks floating down if you happen to randomly need to. That's a thing you can do. You can build in this little nook, which I like. Go up these stairs, and we can find a couple of boxes still in the volcano. They have taken most of them out, but there are a couple here. Don't mind my weird looking coins, it's from a mod. A couple of fighters on our little journey up. We're going up this way now, because it's a bit of a boopity boop up out. Most of the way up here or down here there is actual pathway, but occasionally you're gonna need to build some stuff like here. You can actually jump it, it's not that hard, you just jump over here. But if you have searing heat or heat stroke or actually extreme heat, you can't climb because you're taking damage. So if you are extremely hot or taking heat stroke, you will need to build to cross stuff because you need to climb some of these areas. If you do need wood, you can't cut down these. But like I said earlier, lots of stone here, great place for mass skull, especially in the center. These red bushy things in the gaseous zones are actually wood and a good source of chichenil if you happen to need some red dye. Actually how they make a lot of red dye in real life. Cactus bugs, or volcano beetles, not really, but bunch of annoying dudes, and this guy can sometimes be abyssal flesh slug, but is not today. So yeah, you can mostly avoid this little gaseous area that leads us back down towards where that spider boss is. And then we got this whole bridge here, which is just full of annoying guys. But if you dip on down the side here, right by the bridge of Vunudimitivus, you can build on top, and there are some boxes. But we'll also find an emissary who always drops a weapon. He's a little bit hard to fight, but not too bad. He usually drops two because he'll drop an obsidian something. He's dropped us some spicy bread too, so that's a plus if we're trying to get back down to the Frost Temple or something. And we'll get the Sword of the Rude Guard, which is potentially better than anything you might have, but probably not. So, is it worth killing him? Probably not. Calm down, phone, you scared me. Just down here we'll find a couple of one skulls, which used to be a decent source of demon blood, but no longer. They occasionally drop it, but there is a lot of obsidian just in this little nook. This is right near the Dragon Mouth entrance, which is just there. We continue heading up this actual path. We'll find our fifth and final entrance into the volcano. I don't like this one very much because it's the hardest to get to unless you already have the Frost Temple obelisk. There's a little bit of black ice and ice out the front, but a lot of the time we used to get spawn camped by a mammoth who they've now moved over there somewhere. That's nice. If you are just trying to get to the Frost Temple, you can come through this entrance and just jump off the cliff here and catch on at the end. Like so. Probably the easiest way down. And then you get your Frost Obelisk and your Frost Temple. The easiest way up from the Frost Obelisk, I believe, to be up this little ridge. To avoid most of the mammoths who'll knock you about, and it's a big holder over there. Come up this ridge, a little bit of climbing, but not much, so you'll avoid a lot of the frostbitey bits. And then in here, it is very cold this way too. So way less likely you'll be able to do that naked. And through here, we'll find some more aggressive guys. They're all aggressive, don't need to specify now. A little bit more lotus just down here. And some obsidian. And I'll put the lotus. It's somewhere. This guy is a little bit different from that brood guard. He's a little bit more like the slug or the spider, but he's actually here. You can kill him and get some slightly different bloodstone sword things. And potentially some Silent Legion armor. I'm not sure if he's wearing a hood of an executioner or if he's wearing a Skelos hood, so let me know if you've killed him and got a hood of an executioner or a Skelos hood off him, because they can drop whatever armor they happen to be wearing. If you head back down this path is basically where we were earlier, where I showed you that other pathway down. You'll often find a lot of people built in this lava lake. But not often just here where I like to put stuff, and it's far enough away usually. A lot of obsidian in this particular area, and if you build your way across here, you can find another gold rock nose. So hard doing these area guides because you have to be like all over the place and then so many things collate with. Hopefully you all aren't too lost and you're learning a little something, hopefully. You can build down here also, nice little sunken lava trap base. Running back this way. It's where I usually come and then go up here towards the spider. Oh, who's actually here now? Kill him, get some mandibles, usually get a decent stack, lots of armor pen, pack him up, get a bunch of demon blood, ichor, and all that good stuff. And this guy is now a devotee. Guy still a carpenter? Yeah, I thought it was always a carpenter. And then back up into this gassy area to look for some potential alchemists. If you're on an alchemist hunt, this area and this area are very good. You can avoid these aggressive dudes by just dipping down and around here. And you'll also find in this particular little area one of my favorite places to build a stash base if I'm on a PvP server, because it's really hidden just in here. This is basically to put a bed and a box and my body if I have to, if I really want to log out, I can't be bothered missioning, and I'm not going to keep my stuff there long because it doesn't really mess with anyone's spawns. So unless someone's running around trying to build it themselves or they happen to have a base in one of these places, you'll go fairly unnoticed for a while. I've even had a little base here that went fairly unnoticed. I'm a very poppin' server because I just built with the right materials. Crazy. Heading back towards the actual obelisk, we'll cross all the way over to these temples past the first entrance we were at. We'll find another sneaky little base in a moment, some actual more useful boxes. Climb your way across here. It's not too bad if you fall down. Find another brood guard. And you can make your way down here to a little hole. Again, featured in my rat hole video if you want further detail. But if you're ever looking for a really good spot to body vault, because you can't build in a particular place up here, and it's not actually too hard to get to if you climb up the temple here, is this spot in here. Because ain't nobody climbing in here and you can't build in here, and there's so many little ledges. After a week your body disappears from the game. So my body is actually here on a bunch of servers because the correct dungeon didn't always used to exist, and now you can't body vault in there anyway. So here's a decent spot. Make sure you bring some ice and some water on your body because you'll need that to get out again. You can put it here, but you're more likely to be seen. Fun little tip if you've made it this far into the video. We are almost done though. There are a couple of other little fun spots around the volcano edge which you can build. There's a little nook that pokes just out of the green wall. I currently can't see where it is. Where is it? It's over here somewhere. But there's also this spot right here which I quite like because again, quite hidden. If you build too big, people will see you. I think my green wall spot's a bit more over here. I know, I'm fairly sure I've featured it in my rat hole video. You can only build so far up around the edge of the volcano, so keep that in mind. And people can turn off the mist in the settings, so that is not always going to be reliable. You will sometimes find bases built on these fingers. They're fairly decent spots to build bases that are big and kind of hidden, to be fair. But we'll make our way now down from the obelisk, down this pathway, find a bunch of aggressive guys, and we'll make our way to the Well of Skelos. We'll find a box somewhere down here, which is one of our few boxes still left around. Random content. Usually I run back up this way. You can also run down this way. Rock nose. Gets a little janky here, so I usually don't take it at the speed because I've just flown off before by accidental lag. Around here, I usually also like to build a little bridge because I've gotten caught down there and it's hard to climb when you are experiencing heat stroke. Bit more golden lotus. And not usually anything bar random bases up this way. A little bit more obsidian here and there. Heading down this way towards the Well of Skelos, you'll often find a bridge right here or somewhere thereabouts to cross the lava so you can safely drag your thralls back. Just, where are we here? Looks like a very indiscreet rock. You can in fact have a lot of room for activities inside this rock. Then we see all the way around here our pathway up from the mouth of the dragon mouth. So we're basically coming in from the opposite side to that. Cannot build directly around the mouth of Well of Skelos like under here. Where are we? That's not the right under here. Looks like they may have even gotten rid of it. A lot more golden lotus. What if I find the spot? I don't know. Oh, here. Cannot build here. The once upon a time. It's probably very confusing. You can find a fair few guys around this edge that are actual crafters once you get past these fighters. On your way up to learn the Skelos recipe, which is mostly weapons, but on either side of the stairs here you'll find some crafters. Keep making your way up. We will eventually need to climb, but here are some stairs, the box. Make your way all the way around and kill the stuff that you want, or directly climb up here to the next level. Now we haven't quite made it to the Skelos recipe yet because we've got one more level of stairs. The snakes are a great source of tar because they burn 1-for-1 with their hide and they're fairly decent XP and loot drop. And now once you've got your Skelos recipe, which is over here, rather than making your way all the way back down and doing that nonsense, simply jump into the well. And when you come back out of the well, you will get potentially attacked, but they will take a second most likely to spawn in. So you have that opportunity. If you do want to just get the obsidian recipe, run in here and jump straight down, climbing onto the edge as you go, and cross that little lava river, and then make your way to the recipe in that purple glowy building. You can craft the obsidian in there, fairly recognizable by the orange tendrils coming out. If you don't want to go into the dungeon itself from here, go back through the portal. And there we basically have it. Kind of briefish tour of the volcano. There's a lot more little nooks and crannies that you can build in and a few more little loot spots here and there. But for the most part, I showed you the stuff that you need to know. Even though it may be a bit confusing following my directions, it'll at least give you a little bit of a heads up. Unlike most of our first adventures where we went in super blind and just lost all of our shit we gathered, and that was awesome. So hopefully that won't happen to you now, and especially now there's not insta-death when you touch invisible lava. So it's a much safer place to come, especially if you used to play the game and you're returning and you don't know that it's changed. It has. And like I said a little bit earlier, if you're not already, consider subscribing, especially if you watch a bunch of my content. I get it, I'm a guide video and you're just watching for the stuff and you probably skip past all my rambles, but if you do happen to get a little bit of joy out of it here and there, it does mean a bunch. Like and subscribe does help out a lot, and leave a little comment of what other videos you want to see, because it's always great to hear from my actual viewers of stuff you'd like me to cover, what's helpful for you. And until next time, I hope you have an excellent day, evening, night, morning, whatever it may be, wherever you may be. Have fun exploring the volcano and have a good day.